Hey everyone, I did this video like 2 different times and I really didn't like the way that it came out in regards to some of the stuff I talked about. So I wanted to be upfront with it at the beginning. There are some things I'm going to talk about, same-sex marriage, transgenderism, and all that. And regardless of how I feel about those things, I am not passing judgment on people in those quote-unquote categories. Might not be a good way to put it. It's just part of what was brought into what I'm talking about today. Again, no judgment. It's none of that, regardless of what I feel personally. But just wanted that to be at the beginning of this. I probably will repeat it. So anyway, today we are actually going to talk about Netflix and why I cannot stand Netflix and other big-time TV streamers like that, if you will. They have a motive for almost everything they do, and I cannot stand the fact that they can't just stick to things that work and not things that appease people, if you will. So actually, I'm going to talk about a TV show called Designated Survivor. If you have not seen it, it's pretty good. It has seasons 1, seasons 2 on ABC, and season 3 on Netflix. And I say that, and I will get into that, but regardless. So ABC did that, and it started in, I think, 2017, 2016, somewhere around there. So essentially the premise of the story is there's 2 designated survivors. One is a guy who's part of the presidency, he's a cabinet member, and the other one is seems to be a Republican senator or congresswoman, one of the two. I think it's a congresswoman. And they're both designated survivors. And what happens is during the State of the Union, someone blows up the Capitol. And as you know, everyone's at the State of the Union. So the designated survivor on the cabinet side becomes the President of the United States. And there starts the journey. So I say all of that to kind of say that the TV show does a great job of kind of walking us through the life of this guy who got handed a presidency when he was like the housing and urban development guy. And by the way, I can't do that. That's a spoiler alert. But anyway, so he goes through all these processes, and within that process, he also goes through character building as well as all the other people, especially a guy named Seth. You'll be introduced if you ever see him. He's fantastic. And then another one who's an FBI agent, can't actually think of her name right now, but she is one of my favorite characters too. And the reason is because they're so genuine with how they act and how they speak, right? So the first 2 seasons are fantastic. They kind of go through this, like every episode's kind of something crazy that happens that they have to figure out with an ongoing story throughout the season. And season 1 ends, and it's great. Agent Wells. And Agent Wells finds the guy, and then she joins in all this. And what I noticed in the first 2 seasons when ABC did this is that there was a little aggression. Obviously, whenever you're being attacked, you have to be a little aggressive, and anger comes out. But what I didn't see is that constantly, and what I didn't see is a ton of cussing or a ton of, I'm going to say this, a ton of woke things that are normally pushed down our throats. And that's where I'm going to start with all the kind of stuff I'm going to say that it's just things that bother me in regards to any type of pushing upon people, regardless of what side you're on. Again, I say all that because I want to be upfront with people. I don't care what agenda you are. You're a person. You're not a Republican. You're not a Democrat. And you're not an agenda person, whatever. It's the pushing constantly to try to defeat morals in this country or defeat someone else because they don't believe in such principles, right? So let's go to season 3. Season 1 and 2, fantastic. ABC does it. Then Netflix picks it up, and I believe there's a gap here. And so Netflix picks it up, and some of the characters did not transfer over. Some of the really cool characters, but the majority of the big characters did. But within the first 2 minutes, you instantaneously see the first F-bomb. or here, I guess. The first F-bomb. Aggression and constant cussing. And as soon as it happened, I looked at my wife because we loved the show and watched it together, and I was like, that person would never say that. Why would Seth say that? He is never like that, never cuss like that, and constantly he's cussing. Now, again, I've said bad words, not throwing judgment in this entire video. Again. But that's the thing I'm talking about. Why did you have to change 2 years of character building into someone who is now completely different because you wanted to make it less, quote unquote, moral? Because you want to push all of this bull crap on people and you constantly have to cuss. It's just like comedy. You can't find comedians out there anymore that are legitimately not cussing every 5 seconds. It's almost like TV shows. So Netflix has to keep on that pace of, we're just going to cuss constantly. I honestly believe that they knew season 3 was going to be the end, so they said, screw it, let's throw it all in there. So they started doing that with characters, and it really annoyed me just because the character building was just taken, thrown into a snowball, and just tossed. And it's really frustrating for someone who enjoys something like that. It's kind of like what The Walking Dead did over 3 seasons of trying to tell one story when it could have been told in 1 season. It's kind of like that. They knew they were making money and they did it. Netflix, on the other hand, didn't make crap with this probably and just decided, screw it, we're going to use this as a way to push narratives. And so you go through all this stuff and they start doing that and we're already like, I don't really care to watch this. And so we fast forward, I think it's maybe an episode or 2, and you start getting into the trans issue. And we know how how polarizing that is between people. There's people who are like, I am for it, and if you're not, you're a transphobe. Or there's people who are, I am not for it, I hate your guts. And here's the problem. Those people are the ones you're trying to piss off by doing these kinds of things. You're trying to get this to happen, which is exactly our political spectrum right now. They're doing it on purpose. Sorry, not a conspiracy theorist, but this is showing that. So they do the transgender stuff, whatever. It's a storyline. And then they start with sexualizing 2 men, which is, again, not judgment, not throwing judgment. But my premise is why? I don't want to see any sexualization in this show. There's no reason for it. It is a presidency after a Capitol bombing, and you're putting in sexualization. Now, if you want to stay on topic with current events and put in the trans issue, that's fine, because that is a current event within that time frame, 2019, 2020, current event. I get that. But the scenes, why? What's the point of these scenes being pushed into it now? There's just no reason for it. It's not that, there might be another TV show where it's perfectly acceptable. But there's no reason for it. The guy's a president. And he's trying to fix a country that just had a Capitol bombing. While every episode going through something stupid. But it all boils down to the degrading of morals. And that's what it is. I truly believe that. I truly believe that they are trying to take something that's beautiful in our lives and just toss it to the side. We each have morals. We each have something that I'm standing here. Whether it's anti-abortion or whether it's name your polarizing thing. And I'm going to stand on this platform. But the problem is we don't listen to the other side, and instead we argue, call names, and do all these things that make us look stupid. But it's the degrading of society. We see it all the time. We see agendas being pushed on with things that, it's not a big issue. Some of these things. It's not. But they push it and push it. There's 1% of the population But they push it, and it's just a degrading of all morals. It's what it is. I'm calling it for what it is. They are simply trying to take good things, wholesome things, and destroy them. Like they're trying to do the nuclear family. I truly believe that. I didn't want to go too much on a tangent here. It's just more of a annoyance for me that all these publications and what have you, publications and TV shows and all these things constantly want to push narratives. And the reason isn't to have good news stories or good TV shows. It's to make me and you, who may see differences, hate each other. Therefore, everyone is now polarized with their view and all that. And it degrades our morals. If we like the nuclear family and we believe that a man and a woman are married, what's the best way to tear that down is to constantly be pushing the gay agenda. Again, I'm not judging. I'm not even formulating an opinion on it. Just saying. Or if you're on the other side, they're constantly going to be pushing the other agenda. We see this in Facebook and all those. You're not going to see posts from the other place. If I'm a Republican, I will not see posts from Democrats because I'm constantly going to be fed the Republican narrative. Or if I'm a Democrat, I'm constantly going to be fed the Democrat narrative. And what that does is it takes me from here in the middle and takes me right over to the other side, and therefore I become more polarized from the guy who's a conservative, only seeing conservative content. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope that you start noticing these things and that you choose to not watch things that continue to do this. But maybe you will. To be fair, I don't really care what you watch on TV. Just don't let it manipulate your morals and stay true to yourself. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and do all the things below.